So choreographer Jennifer Weber's vision and direction captivates the audience with fresh beats and hot steps in two of Broadway's biggest hits, and Juliet and Kpop. She's nominated for a Tony for Best Choreography for both shows. So joining me now is two-time Tony Award nominee Jennifer Weber. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How does it feel to hear that? Two-time Tony nominated.
I still don't believe it. It's such an honor. It's all my childhood dreams come true. It just feels amazing. It really does.
Speaking of childhood dreams, I recently saw an interview where you discussed when you were a child watching the Tony Awards, recording the numbers, and then learning them.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I grew up in a small town, so I didn't have access to Broadway all the time, but I really wanted to learn the choreography of Broadway shows. So I would record the Tonys where they would perform these amazing numbers, these incredible pieces of choreography, and I would just rewind and teach myself all the moves and see if I could do them too.
And now you're on the other side.
Totally crazy.
What do you say to someone who basically is you as a child, right? Watching your choreography and teaching themselves those same moves. What do you say to them?
It's all possible, you know? It just really shows you that if you work really hard and you dream really big, you can make anything happen. And that's sort of the magic of theater, you know?
Absolutely. Walk us through what inspires you. Walk us through the creative process.
I think for me, it all comes down to the story and trying to find how I can use movement to tell the story, to move the story forward, and to also empower the actors to make them feel amazing so that they can get on stage and have this emotion and have this feeling and then represent that for the whole, for the whole audience.
Represent indeed. And Juliet is still playing on Broadway. Walk us through some of the emotions you had when you found out Kpop was closing.
Oh, that was so hard. I mean, I worked on Kpop from when it was off Broadway. It was over 8 years of work with the same team of people, and we put so much love into that show. And every show has a journey, and it was really sad that show's journey was so short.
All right, and I heard a certain pop star showed up, and you actually had a moment to teach her some moves. Tell us who that was.
Yeah, Katy Perry came to And Juliet. Some of her music is, very featured in the show, and there's a sort of iconic dance move to Roar, which is of course one of her most iconic songs, and she just loved it. And she came on stage after the show, after the whole audience had left, and she just wanted to learn the move, so I had to teach her.
Had to teach her. Were you pinching yourself this is Katy Perry?
My smile was so massive. It's just, I love Katy Perry. I'm such a big fan, and Roar is such a powerful moment in the show. So it's really it's a moment where Juliet really just decides to own her story and to take the stage, and it's really powerful, and I feel very emotional every time I watch it, and the fact that she connected with that as well just made it so much more special for me.
And talk about own her story, owning your story, right? You said you were shy as a kid, but hip hop was something that you just resonated with. Tell us a little bit about that, and what was it about hip hop that broke this shy kid? and I mean, here we are, two-time Tony nomination.
I think when I was a kid, I just speaking was hard for me, and then when I found dance, I found this whole other way of communicating. And then as I got older and I got to go out and go into clubs and go into parties, I realized I could use that type of communication, outside of a dance studio and actually in the world, and that made me feel so confident that I had this way, this voice that I didn't know I had.
I hate to say this, but we have to wrap. What's next? Quickly, please.
Hopefully, a big win on June 11th.
Which is right around the corner.
Sure is.
We wish you all the best, Jennifer Weber. Thank you for joining us.